All right, let's dive into this explainer. Have you ever wondered if, just maybe, humanity has been looking in the completely wrong direction for thousands of years? Well, today, we're unpacking a really fascinating and frankly highly unorthodox theory from a recent source that completely flips a traditional script. The source posits that a profound biblical prophecy, one that's usually associated with the literal end of the world, is actually an ancient, perfectly preserved map to human neuroanatomy. It's a compelling look at linguistics, medical history, and neuroscience all wrapped into an ancient code.
The creator of this theory kicks things off with a massive question. What if we need to completely reconsider the physical location of the long-awaited Second Coming? I mean, what if the rider on the white horse isn't up in the clouds waiting to arrive at some unknown date in the future, but is literally inside your skull right now? To really illustrate the problem of this 2,000-year wait, the source uses this brilliant analogy. Imagine your grandmother ordered a package back in 1975. The tracking says arriving shortly, so she checks the mailbox every single day. Then your mom takes over, and then eventually you. At a certain point, especially with endless failed predictions stretching through 1988, 2000, and 2012, you eventually have to stop checking the mailbox and ask, was that package ever actually in the mail at all? The source argues that every generation thinks they are the last one, and every single generation has been wrong.
So, to back this up, the theory leans heavily on a very specific text, Luke 17:20, to argue that this return was never meant to be an external physical event. When asked when the kingdom of God is coming, the response given was that it doesn't come with observation. You can't point and say, look, here it is, or there it is. Point blank, the text says the kingdom is within you. The source suggests that humanity just completely misunderstood an internal biological realization, mistaking it for an external apocalyptic event.
Now, what's really interesting here is how the source redefines the very title of the last book of the Bible. If you actually look up the word revelation in any dictionary, it completely strips away all that Hollywood catastrophic imagery. The destruction, the mushroom clouds, the fire. It literally just means an uncovering, an unveiling, taking the lid off something that was already there, but hidden. So it's not about the end of the world, it's about revealing a secret.
So, moving into the anatomy of this hidden secret, we have to ask exactly what is being unveiled here.
To figure that out, the source takes us on this wild ride from ancient Egyptian linguistics straight into an 18th century operating room. It meticulously connects the biblical rider to real anatomy. In Revelation 3:14, the rider is titled the Amen, which translates to the Hidden One. The explainer then points out that a French surgeon named René de Garanjot in 1742 was dissecting a human brain, and he found this curled structure. He named it Cornu Aminis after the Egyptian god Amun, the king of the gods, whose name literally translates to, yeah, you guessed it, the hidden one. So we literally have a horn of the hidden one tucked right inside the temporal lobe. Building on this, the explainer notes another medical term for this exact same structure. About 155 years prior to that French surgeon, an anatomist named Julius Caesar Arantius cut into a human brain and named this curl the hippocampus. In Greek, hippos means horse and campos means sea monster, so a seahorse. He named it this because, according to medical dictionaries, it's the only part of the human brain physically shaped like a horse. And the source uses this anatomical fact to make a direct connection to the biblical text. See, you don't just have one hippocampus, you have two. There's one in each hemisphere of your brain. In Revelation 19:14 specifically mentions armies following upon white horses, plural. It perfectly matches the plural anatomy inside your head. You literally have white horses inside your skull. Mind-blowing, right?
Okay, so let's decode this inner white horse a bit further.
If this horse is actually a brain structure, what exactly does it do? And does that function align with the ancient text? Well, the source maps these dual biological functions directly to the Bible, which calls the writer faithful and true. Let's break that down. In 1953, a famous surgery on patient HM removed his hippocampus, which proved definitively that this structure is entirely responsible for forming new memories. Reliable memory recall? That's faithful. Fast forward to 2014, a Nobel Prize was awarded for the discovery that the hippocampus actually contains grid cells, which act as your brain's internal GPS. Accurate navigation? That's true. Faithful and true perfectly describes memory plus navigation.
Now, if this highly specific structural theory holds water, we should see this exact same symbol popping up in other ancient cultures, right?
And according to the explainer, we absolutely do. It systematically breaks down global mythologies to show this incredible pattern. The Greeks had Pegasus, a white horse that creates a spring sacred to the goddess of memory. The Hindus describe Kalki riding a white horse, and Hayagriva, the horse-headed deity of knowledge and memory. The Islamic tradition speaks of al-Buraq, a white steed used for inner conscious ascent. And of course, the Christian tradition has the white horse for faithful memory and navigation. Every single one of these cultures uses a white mythological consciousness vehicle to describe the exact same inner journey. That is a serious global code.
But let's push past the history for a second and get into the actual biology of stillness.
Because this explainer doesn't just stop at historical linguistics, it pushes right into actionable biology. Like, how does one actually utilize this inner horse? How do you turn it on? The theory connects the biological requirements for using the hippocampus directly to ancient spiritual instructions. You see, the hippocampus operates on a signature brainwave called the theta rhythm, beating at 4 to 8 cycles per second. This carrier wave for memory is activated primarily by deep stillness. That deep stillness consolidates memory, which allows the hippocampus to actually do its job.
The source argues that famous verses like Psalm 46:10, "Be still and know," aren't just pretty poetic suggestions. They are literal biological instructions. Be still activates that theta rhythm, and know is the memory output. Furthermore, Jesus' instruction at the Last Supper, "This do in remembrance of me," is interpreted here not as a memorial service for a historical figure, but as a direct command to activate the hippocampus, to actually engage in deep remembrance.
So if that's the case, how do we practically grow this kingdom within?
How do we apply this ancient map to modern biology? If the kingdom really is within, and the horse is a biological structure, can we physically change it? According to the source, yes, you absolutely can. And it takes exactly 8 weeks. That's the specific amount of time it takes to physically grow this brain structure and fundamentally alter your own consciousness.
Impartially reporting the data here, the explainer cites a published 2011 Harvard psychiatry study by neuroscientist Sarah Lazar. She literally put people in an MRI, had them meditate for 27 minutes a day for 8 weeks, and then scan them again. And the result? Measurable gray matter density growth in the left hippocampus, caught right there on film. You can literally physically grow this structure just through mindfulness.
The creator distills this entire process into 4 incredibly simple and, thankfully, free instructions. Step 1, go into a dark room. Step 2, sit up straight and close your eyes. Step 3, breathe slowly, like 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out. And step 4, hold your focus right between your eyebrows for 20 minutes. The source equates the biblical instruction to enter your closet and shut the door to going inside the human skull, with the door simply being your own eyelid.
By following this protocol, the biological cascade is pretty profound. Your heart rate slows down, the parasympathetic nervous system takes over, and that all-important theta rhythm activates. The source claims that by doing this, you are doing exactly what was prophesied all along. You are unveiling the hidden one, you are restoring faithful memory, and you are literally, physically manifesting the long-awaited return inside yourself by growing the horse.
This explainer leaves us with an incredibly provocative conclusion, one that forces us to re-examine thousands of years of tradition and waiting. By reframing prophecy as neuroanatomy, the source asks us if the ultimate mystery of consciousness was sitting right between our ears this whole time. As the creator so powerfully puts it, it was never coming, it was always waiting. It is undeniably a fascinating lens through which to view ancient texts and modern science. So what do you think?